What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Neeks Sports. Obviously, we're here to talk some transfer news from Manchester United this evening. Fresh from watching the Man City versus Wolves. Man City get their Premier League, challenge for the title. Off to a winning start. 3-1 victors over at the Molineux. Goals from Kevin De Bruyne from the penalty spot, Phil Foden and Gabriel Jesus in the last few moments, pretty much the last kick of the game for him. And Man City get up to 3 points. And of course, they were, Man City, some would say, had very similar preparation to Manchester United in the build-up to the new season in terms of when they finished the end of last season and how much, I don't know what you want to call it, pre-season games or training sessions, whatever it might have been, that they had compared to everyone else. And they came out of the blocks absolutely flying. And there was a Man United meltdown on Twitter. I'm not surprised. A Man United meltdown on Twitter because Man City look fitter than us. Man City, who we've all agreed in the last 2 years, have 2 squads. Man City have 2 squads. And many people have always said that if they play their second team, that second team could get into the top 4. Maybe not so much now. The top 4's got a bit more competitive, maybe. But they have 2 teams. We've barely got one. We barely had one out. But nonetheless, Man United fans, meltdown as per usual. But in terms of the title, in terms of what we're talking about today, Jadon Sancho, Alex Telles, some reports came out this evening, late afternoon, this evening really, about 7 p.m. or so, that the Alex Telles, or Telles, depending on how you want to pronounce it, and Jadon Sancho deal could be off. Man United may end this transfer window with just the one transfer, which that would be a disgrace. I've said that word a few times this weekend. That would be an aberration if we did that. So first and foremost, came from the first news that we heard about 4 hours ago or so, heard from Fabrizio Morano, said Man United and Porto are in talks for Alex Telles, as well as his agents. Telles wants to leave, and his price tag is 20 million. He says he wants to leave. He wants to leave Porto. He's got 1 year left in his contract. He's, 27 years old, I think? Yeah, 27 years old. He wants possibly his final big contract. He wants to leave Porto this summer. Didn't say he wants to join Man United, by the way. Didn't say that. But he said he wants to leave. And what we do know, and we've heard since then as well, which we heard before and since, that PSG are interested. Apparently, Man United are ahead in terms of negotiation with the player. And the player is happy to join Man United, but the player is also happy to join PSG. But what we've seen in this window and plenty windows previously is that Man United's name gets used a lot in negotiations with players, whether the player wants a new contract or wants a move or the club wants a bigger fee. They start attaching our name to all these different transfers. And a lot of them are without any context or without any substance, should I say, more than anything. The Alex Telles one, it's a possibility. We know we're in for Reguilon. And I say in for them. Real Madrid offered us Reguilon, but with 2 clauses. We said, all right, we'll look at the player. All right, we don't mind signing him, but we don't want the 2 clauses. Real Madrid said, no, we need the 2 clauses. We said, well, we're not signing, we need 2 clauses. And then Spurs came in for him, got the deal with the 2 clauses in. Man United missed out on the target. It's like, well, it wasn't our target. You offered him to us. And now we didn't get our target. He was never our target. And I think with Alex Telles, he's also been offered out. His agent has offered him out to clubs because, as I said, he wants this new club and his big new contract at his age, 28 in December, I think it is. So he wants maybe a 4-year deal, take him into his 30s, good money, especially if he wants to come to Premier League or PSG. We're hearing 70k per week could be the estimated amount that he could be getting if he comes to Man United, which would, think about, triple or quadruple his salary. So that would be good money for him. Less than Luke Shaw's getting, but good money for him. And it's a player that I would take. I would definitely take. I think we need attacking width and options out wide. We don't have any real width attacking wise whether from our wingers or from our fullbacks, if we're going to be serious. And I think he can really offer something. He's very good at set pieces as well. So he offers something in that regard. We just need to get our head on the ball and actually score them, for God's sake. But PSG are in the running. And if PSG's in the running, I'm skeptical because PSG have money. PSG are probably more willing to actually release the funds if they really want the player more than we would be. I think we're willing to go to maybe 20 million euros. That is, Porto want around 25 million. And PSG would probably say, oh, you know what, here's 25 million euros. Take it. And we'll be like, well, we didn't want to go above that anyway and miss out on the player. So I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm going to stay very, very humble and composed and just see how it all pans out. Of course, there's not much time left in the transfer window, but let's see how it all pans out. Will we get a player, let alone this player, but will we get a player between now and October the 5th? If he's holding the shirt October the 5th or before then, welcome, TELLES. I hope you do well, blah, blah, blah. If he's not, I'm not losing my shit over TELLES. If we don't sign anyone, I will. But I'm not losing it over that. Because there's only so far you can take these rumors or this transfer talk when you realize maybe these guys are just throwing our name of everything and hoping that something sticks. Because in reality, we are linked to everyone. We've only signed one person. So what does that say? Someone somewhere is telling some porkies. Comment here from Footy Live. TELLES deal isn't off. Man United and Porto are very close to an agreement on 25 million. Yes, but then PSG are in the running. And I heard the same thing about Reguilon saying talks are in the final stages, and then about 24 hours later, deal being accepted with Spurs. So a lot of these, tier one journalists, they are linked with agents, and agents will give them a story that they can push, but we don't know whether the story is a legitimate story or is the story there just to benefit the agent's agenda. Do you want the player to seem more in demand so you can ask for wages when it comes to negotiation, or whatever it might be? Do you want a new contract so you push some stories out there? You have to be very, very careful with what some of these people say. Shane says, if TELLES signs for United, could he challenge Robertson as the best left back in the league? Yes, he could, but I don't think he will. His attacking output's very good, but a lot of it, to be fair, is set pieces. I think in terms of the mobility going up and down, he doesn't have the same up and down that Robertson has. Attacking wise, maybe I think his delivery might be better than Robertson's, but defensive wise, I don't think I've seen him defend as well as Robertson. So if you want that complete fullback, I would say Robertson is better. But for us, I think he would be a brilliant acquisition. Brilliant. Because as I said, we need attacking width. And we're not getting it from our wingers because our wingers are inside forwards or natural strikers, in this case of Mason Greenwood. We'll get onto the other guy, who is actually a natural winger. And if we can get that other guy on that side and some left attacking width on the left-hand side, then that gives a bit of balance. When we're playing Crystal Palace, there's no balance. Nobody's going down the outside trying to get crosses in. The forwards are caught between a rock and a hard place. Do I go into the box, but there's no one actually attacking and down the width and getting the balls in? Or do I stay out wide, which means there's no threat inside the box? If we can get natural width on both sides, it means we can get more people in the box and create more of a goal threat. Fully Live Comeback said PSG are interested, but TELLES is one of 4 left-back options they're considering. And I actually also heard that Man United, TELLES is one of 2. I don't know who the second one is. I don't know if you got any information on that, but I'm not sure who the second option is. Apparently that Fabrizio Romano came out saying that there's 2 options after we lost out on Reguilon, that is. Moving on to the Sancho. Now, I put a question mark. Jadon Sancho and Alex TELLES deals off. Question mark. I don't believe either of them are off. And especially, I'm more confident of the Sancho deal than I am the TELLES deal. Even though all the talk suggests that the Sancho deal is less likely to happen. It's just that I don't believe the Borussia Dortmund sporting director, whoever it is, head of football. So Sebastian Kell, the head of football, said Jadon Sancho, is our player and he will stay. It was an important statement from the club. This is a statement that made ages ago, because we have a certain responsibility. Without Jadon, this team is weaker. I'm going to pull up the tweet from Fabrizio Romano, because I think it was a little bit of a change exactly from that. So he said, he's our player who will stay. Then Fabrizio Romano went on to say, still same position by Borussia Dortmund. Now, still same position tells me that if we put 120 million pound down, he's going to go. Because that was always the position, 120 million euros, sorry. Because that was always the position. Borussia Dortmund and Jadon Sancho have an agreement that if a club bids X amount, you can leave. So I still believe if we bid X amount, then by October the 5th, he will be a Man United player. The question is, are we willing to bid X amount? That's where the sticking point is. Not Dortmund. That deal is not dead if the bid is made. The question is, are we willing to? But the talk is that we're not willing to. That's the problem. We're not willing to. And it goes back to what was been said before in terms of Solskjaer being back. Solskjaer not being backed in the transfer window, being let down time and time again. And if he doesn't get Sancho, this is another example of that, because he went into the transfer market and said, this is my list. At the top of my list is Jadon Sancho. And a transfer window will pass by, another transfer window will pass by. And we have not signed one of our key targets. This summer will be our key target. Last summer, it was Bruno Fernandes, and we got him in January. This summer, it will be Jadon Sancho. Solskjaer has told the board what he wants. The board are not willing to give him what he wants. Are we then going to blame Solskjaer if we don't get where we want this season? For you, like I said, the second left back option is Lucas Hernandez from Bayern Munich. He was third option. He's now Telles' backup option. I think he's pretty good, Lucas Hernandez. I think he's a decent left back. I think he's probably a bit more mobile in terms of up and down than Telles. Is he better? Probably not. No, I wouldn't say he's better. But I think he's a decent left back. Did bits for France in the World Cup, actually, I think it was. If I'm thinking about this, the right guy. I'm thinking about Lucas Hernandez. There's two of them, isn't there? There's Lucas Hernandez and there is Theo Hernandez. I hope I'm... Yeah, that's the right one. Theo Hernandez plays for AC Milan, I believe it is, yeah. The truth says... All right, we'll get to those. Well, yeah, Jadon Sancho. Yeah, I don't... The deal is dead if we are not willing to pay, not because Borussia Dortmund say we're going to keep him. If we're willing to pay, whatever Dortmund said doesn't matter. He will come. Are we willing to pay? For Eli said, Sancho deal from myself and other reporters I work with. I think he's saying that it's off. The news is United are going to abort the deal 100%. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So what we're going to do, go into the window, go into the season with Greenwood, Rashford and Martial. And that's it. And we expect to go where? With what? Ridiculous. And then people want to hashtag Ollie out. He's going into a season with 3 forwards in a 60-game season. And don't mention Andres Pereira, Jesse Lingard and Juan Mata. Don't do it. Don't do it. We're gambling again because last season when we got injuries to those key players, we suffered. We suffered. So we're gambling that all 3 of those stay fit and the backup overperform. Because even if they perform at their best, it ain't good enough. So we're hoping that they overperform. We need that 2-month green Lingard that we got under Jose. We need that for a whole season. If Lingard stays, of course. Obviously, let's talk about him going to Spurs or going on loan or wherever it might be. Not a loan, sorry. 30 million deal, I think I heard it. Actually, it might be. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Sancho. Let's see. Shane, what are your thoughts on Dan James possibly going to Leeds? On loan, I don't mind. I don't mind Dan James going out on loan. I think coming from the Championship up to Manchester United was always going to be a struggle. Always going to be a struggle. I think when we bought him, we should have loaned him out to a Premier League side initially straight away. Let him get some game time experience away from the headline and the pressures of Manchester United, especially maybe in January when we saw that his season started like that, and then it plateaued and it started going down. I think maybe in January. I know we had issues with injury. That's the only problem. We had so many issues with injuries. We don't have the squad to allow players who we are considering first team or first team squad to go out on loan. But I really think his development will benefit from going out on loan. And we know Leeds actually wanted him. Leeds wanted him initially, and it was only at the last minute that when Man United can call him, he changed his mind. So Bielsa obviously still fancies him. And I think Bielsa's fluid football, players in different positions, doing different roles, no set positions, can help Dan James, and it can help us if he's to come back, because Solskjaer, when he's attacking, he likes his players to be very fluid and pick up different positions. So I wouldn't mind him going out on loan. But if we don't get a right winger, we're just losing players. We are just losing players. If United don't get Sancho, do you think Real Madrid and Barcelona will go for him next summer? But if United do get him, would you say Oli has been backed? Let me put that one up. I think we can get him next summer. It just makes it more difficult, and he might actually end up paying more because he's still going to have 2 years. Still going to have 2 years left on his contract. Then you're going to have other people coming in for him, which means his price is going to rise. It all depends on what discussions we've had with Sancho between now and the end of the transfer window, and then between then and the end of the season. Does he still have the feeling that I want to join regardless of whoever comes in? Or was it always a case of, you know what, I just want to leave Borussia Dortmund, but I don't mind where I go? If it's the latter, then it's very likely that we miss out on him. If it was a case of, no, I want to go to Manchester United, then the ball is still in our court if we're willing to pay the money. If he does get in, would I say Ollie's been backed? Ollie would have been partly backed. Definitely partly backed. He would have a centre-back, attacking midfielder, well, 2 attacking midfielders, or in Van der Beek, a multifaceted midfielder, a right winger, and a right back. He still hasn't got a centre-back, which is a key position. But if he was to get Jadon Sancho with Donny van der Beek, I would expect him to build on last season. I'm not saying he has to finish second, but I want to see improvement in performance and improvement in results. That's the 2 things I'd like to see if we were to get Jadon Sancho. If we don't get Jadon Sancho, I can't expect anything more than 4th, if we're going to be completely honest. And it's a fight for 4th. It's not 4th given, it's a fight for 4th. But I would say they are building, they're helping him build. I wouldn't come out and say he hasn't been backed, but equally, I'm not going to come out and say, yeah, they've backed him to the hill, because of course they haven't. There was more than Jadon Sancho and a midfielder on his list. But, you know, you always can't get everyone that you need in one summer, even though Chelsea went and bought a whole team. The truth says, I don't want to ever see Lindelof play. We need Koulibaly, Upamecano ASAP this season, else we are doomed. Well, I'll be very surprised if we get any of them. Koulibaly, that deal is possibly going to Manchester City, if he goes at all. Upamecano, I think that deal might happen next summer. I can't see it happening this summer. I'll be very, very surprised if we actually sign the centre-back this summer. Very surprised. In that case, for you, then, yeah, you think that we're doomed. I think we can cope if we get more of an attacking threat. Because look at today, Man City. They came under pressure in the second half. But in the first half, for example, they've pinned Wolves back. Ake and John Stones aren't great. Mendy's not a great defender. But because with their attack, they've pinned balls back, it relieves the pressure on the defense. If, of course, the defense is having to do a lot of defending like they did against Crystal Palace, then we're in trouble. Then we're in trouble. I do feel we need better centre-backs, 100%. But I think Jadon Sancho's a priority. And I think we've got centre-backs at the club who can complement Maguire more than Lindelof. There's two reasons why they're not being played at the moment. I think with Mengi, he's young. To throw him in is very risky. Tuanzebe, who I think is Solskjaer's first choice to partner Maguire, he's got his injury issues. He was out for the whole last season. I'm not actually sure if when he's back. So Solskjaer can't trust that he's going to be available. And Bailly's had a long-standing issue of injuries. So he could play for 2 games and could be out for 3 months. I think we're going to have to find a way. Unfortunately, if Axel Tuanzebe doesn't recover, we're going to have to find a way to make it work with Maguire and Lindelof, as sad as it is to be. You know, we will need Wan-Bissaka back. We need a fully fit flying Luke Shaw. But, because, you know, Wan-Bissaka did a lot of covering for Lindelof last season. What the work that he does on that right-hand flank, I wouldn't even say it's underrated, but we saw how much Lindelof missed it in that game against Crystal Palace. They overloaded on the left-hand side with Schlupp, with Ayew, and with Zaha. And between Fosu-Mensah and Lindelof, they couldn't cope. They could not cope. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to deal with both of them for the rest of the season. But yeah, as the title says, Jadon Sancho, Alex Telles, are those deals off? I don't think either deal's off. But it doesn't mean either deal's on. A lot of news gets spun around Manchester United, and I think it's just a case of wait and see. Expectations have been raised so high from about August. We were hearing news about Jadon Sancho, and you know, we've agreed terms and that kind of stuff, which we have. You know, we've spoken to him, and he wants to come, and he's willing to take X, Y, Z in terms of his contract. But until you agree a deal with the club, there's no transfer that can happen. It doesn't matter. And as it looks like, Man United aren't willing to meet the demands of Borussia Dortmund for Jadon Sancho. I just hope that between now and August the 5th, that money gets put on the table. And the money gets put on the table, Borussia Dortmund are not rejecting it. I don't care what the head of football says. I don't care what the sporting director says. I don't care what the Twitter admin says. Unless it comes out of the words of Jadon Sancho that I'm not leaving, or from Manchester United saying I'm not signing, as far as I'm concerned, the deal is on. October the 5th, I'm watching. I am waiting. I'm looking out for you. Guys, hit the like and subscribe button.